Welcome to Hong Kong Brief. The content of the briefing includes GLP Capital Partners builds $608 million new China income fund. China-Made C919 Passenger Jet to conduct Hong Kong harbor flyby. Why do fashion trends repeat? And who decides what's cool? Asian stocks slide as focus turns to U.S. jobs. New World Development buys back $610.3 million of dollar bonds. GLP Capital Partners builds $608 million new China income fund. Nikkei Asia. GLP Capital Partners, GCP, has unveiled a 4.3 billion Chinese yuan, $608 million, fund in partnership with a Chinese insurer, seeded with 13 income-generating industrial parks from GLP's balance sheet. The parks are located in Chinese cities including Shanghai and Tianjin, and serve clients from advanced manufacturing industries such as electronics and pharmaceuticals, as well as new materials and industrial robots. GCP said China's push to strengthen its industrial and supply chain resilience has driven demand for industrial parks. China-Made C919 Passenger Jet to conduct Hong Kong harbor flyby. Bloomberg. China's Conduct C919 aircraft, the country's domestically manufactured passenger jet, will fly outside of mainland China for the first time next week. The C919 will head to Hong Kong, where it will conduct a low-altitude flyby over the city's Victoria Harbour on December 16. The aircraft will then go on display at Hong Kong International Airport. The C919, made by Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, COMAC, has yet to secure an international customer, although it has received over 1,000 orders from Chinese carriers. Why do fashion trends repeat? And who decides what's cool? ABC. Fashion trends that were popular decades ago often make a comeback in the present day due to a number of factors. Fashion historian Madeline Cease explains that certain silhouettes and styles are recreated for different audiences with different cultural connotations, while others are more obvious in their return. The phenomenon of trends being recycled is not a new one, with fashion journalist Glynis Trailnash noting that it used to occur in a 40-year cycle. However, thanks to social media and fast fashion, this cycle has become much shorter. Social media influencers and forecasters now play a significant role in setting trends, along with high-end fashion houses. Nostalgia is another important factor, with individuals often drawn to styles and colors that they recognize and want to revisit. Dr. Cease suggests that there are two types of nostalgia: personal nostalgia and cultural nostalgia. The latter is of particular interest to the fashion industry, as it allows designers to capture the best parts of a style from the past and market it as something new. This trend of recycling fashion is not limited to Western cultures, as designers in Asia are also reviving traditional fashion items and blending them with modern elements. Asian stocks slide as focus turns to U.S. jobs. Yahoo! Asian stocks are at 3-week lows with bonds and the dollar steadying as investors wait on U.S. jobs data. An interest rate decision is due in Australia, with traders expecting the central bank to keep rates steady. Japan's Nikkei fell 1% as chip-making stocks dropped. U.S. job openings data is due later today, and broader hiring figures are expected on Friday. New World Development buys back $610.3 million of dollar bonds. Bloomberg. New World Development Company Limited has accepted a buyback of 7 of its dollar bonds for $610.3 million in an effort to improve its finances and optimize its debt profile. The settlement date for the tender offer is expected to be around December 5. East Spring, Barings shrink hedge fund teams in China pullback. Bloomberg. East Spring Investments, the asset management arm of Prudential, and Barings have cut jobs at their China hedge fund operations, highlighting the challenges global asset managers face in the local market. The job cuts come as both firms struggle with the performance of their China stock funds, fierce competition from local players, and limited brand recognition and distribution. Many foreign invested managers run less than 500 million Chinese yuan, $70 million, a level which is needed to cover costs. After fleeing to Canada, pro-democracy activist says she will not return to Hong Kong. ABC. Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Agnes Chow has said she will not return to the city to meet bail conditions. She was arrested in 2020 under a national security law enacted after anti-government protests in 2019. Chow was released on bail but served over 6 months in jail for her role in the protests. She said in an Instagram post that the pressure had caused mental health issues and influenced her decision to stay in Canada. The Hong Kong government strongly condemned Chow's move, warning that she would be pursued for life unless she surrendered herself. CATL prepares to power up wildest electric dreams. Reuters breaking views. Contemporary Amperex Technology, CATL, the world's largest battery maker, is considering a Hong Kong listing to raise funds for expansion in Europe, Southeast Asia, and the US. CATL recently started production at a new facility in Germany and is building a plant in Hungary, its first foray into Western markets. While CATL has $14 billion in net cash, the company's ambitious plans for global expansion, partnerships, and collaborations require additional resources. A potential equity offering would help avoid adding more debt to the company's balance sheet, which has already increased tenfold since 2020. Low-carbon economy ambitions drive investments in China's climate tech firms. South China Morning Post. Investments in Chinese climate technology companies are expected to grow significantly as China transitions towards a low-carbon economy, according to consultancy firm Deloitte. Funding received by climate tech companies in China accounted for 32.5% of the global total as of July 2023, up from 15.1% in 2020. The percentage is expected to rise further as China experiences an economic transformation towards a low-carbon economy. Key sectors for investment include energy and transport, with short-duration energy storage accounting for the largest share of climate tech companies. Other sectors, such as agriculture and heavy industries, still require transformation. Jimmy Lai's son presses Ottawa to call for Hong Kong publishers' release ahead of trial. The Globe and Mail. Hong Kong publisher Jimmy Lai, who faces up to life in prison if convicted under a national security law imposed by China, will spend his 76th birthday behind bars. His son, Sebastian Lai, is in Ottawa to meet with Canadian government officials and urge them to publicly call for his father's release. Sebastian Lai said it is scary to think that he may never see his father again and that he might die in prison. The trial is set to begin on December 18, and Jimmy Lai is expected to plead not guilty. Black rainstorm sparked second biggest insurance claim in Hong Kong history. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong insurers have received 1.9 billion Hong Kong dollars, $244 million, in claims relating to damage caused by Typhoon Saola and a black rainstorm in September. The two events represent the second and fourth highest claims on record, according to the insurance authority. The black rainstorm caused 1.54 billion Hong Kong dollars in claims, the second highest amount ever, while Typhoon Saola resulted in 361 million Hong Kong dollars in claims. Property damage accounted for 86% of claims, while 9% related to motor insurance and 5% to travel insurance, business interruption and employees' compensation insurance. Tuesday briefing. Israel expands operations across Gaza. New York Times. Israel has escalated its military campaign against Hamas in southern Gaza, with armored vehicles moving closer to the main city and strikes hitting urban areas. Israel has indicated for days that it is preparing to launch a ground invasion of southern Gaza, where it believes Hamas fighters and commanders are hiding. The Israeli military has said that its ground troops and air force continued to operate across the Gaza Strip, but did not give any further details about the location of its operations. Israel has once again told civilians to leave parts of Khan Yunis, the largest city in the area, and to head farther south, including to Rafah on the Egyptian border. Aid agencies have warned, however, that the shelters in the south are already overcrowded, and that the level of human suffering is intolerable. Hong Kong receives reminder of its responsibilities on Constitution Day. SCMP opinion. Hong Kong should make better use of its strengths under the one country, two systems governing model and contribute more to China's modernization, according to Chief Executive John Lee Ka-chiu. Lee stated that the central government's comprehensive jurisdiction over Hong Kong is the foundation of the city's high degree of autonomy. He also emphasized the importance of promoting national security and patriotism in Hong Kong, and called for the city to play a role in China's progress by accelerating innovation, green development, economic transformation, and supporting the Greater Bay Area and Belt and Road initiatives. Hong Kong democracy activist Agnes Chow jumps bail to stay in Toronto. The Toronto Star. Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Agnes Chow has announced that she plans to permanently live in Canada after jumping bail from Hong Kong. Chow, who served time in prison for organizing unauthorized protests and was on bail for national security offenses, has been studying in Toronto for the past 3 months. She stated that she may never return to Hong Kong due to the psychological trauma she has experienced. The Hong Kong police force condemned her actions and urged her to return before it's too late. Canada's extradition treaty with Hong Kong has been suspended since July 2020 due to China's national security laws. That's all for today's 6-Degree Briefing. This is Dr. 6, your resident observer from the 6-Degree world. Let's recap today's news highlights. GLP Capital Partners has launched a $608 million fund in partnership with a Chinese insurer, focused on income-generating industrial parks in China. China's domestically manufactured passenger jet, the C919, will conduct its first flyby outside of mainland China in Hong Kong. Fashion trends often repeat due to a combination of factors, including the influence of social media, nostalgia, and the role of influencers and high-end fashion houses. Asian stocks are sliding amid anticipation of U.S. jobs data and an interest rate decision in Australia. New World Development has bought back $610.3 million of its dollar bonds to improve its finances. Eastspring Investments and Barings have cut jobs in their China hedge fund operations due to performance challenges and competition from local players. Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Agnes Chow has announced that she will not return to Hong Kong after fleeing to Canada. CATL, the world's largest battery maker, is considering a Hong Kong listing to raise funds for global expansion. Investments in Chinese climate tech companies are expected to grow as China transitions to a low-carbon economy. Asian stocks are set to open lower following losses on Wall Street amid concerns about the Federal Reserve's monetary tightening plans. Sebastian Lai, the son of Hong Kong publisher Jimmy Lai, is in Ottawa to urge the Canadian government to call for his father's release ahead of his trial. Hong Kong insurers have received 1.9 billion Hong Kong dollars, $244 million, in claims related to damage caused by Typhoon Saola and a black rainstorm in September. Israel has escalated its military campaign against Hamas in southern Gaza, with armored vehicles moving closer to the main city. Hong Kong Chief Executive John Lee has called on the city to make better use of its strengths and contribute more to China's modernization. Hong Kong pro-democracy activist Agnes Chow has announced that she plans to permanently live in Canada after jumping bail from Hong Kong. Now, let's dive into some analysis. In the world of finance, GLP Capital Partners' new fund highlights China's focus on strengthening its industrial and supply chain resilience. This aligns with China's broader efforts to become more self-reliant and reduce its dependence on foreign technology and manufacturing. The partnership with a Chinese insurer also signals the growing interest in income-generating assets and the potential for long-term returns in China's industrial parks. Moving on to fashion, the revival of past trends is not a new phenomenon, but it has become more prevalent and faster-paced in recent years. Social media and fast fashion have accelerated the cycle, allowing trends to come and go more quickly. This is driven by a combination of nostalgia, personal and cultural, along with the influence of social media influencers and high-end fashion houses. The blending of traditional fashion with modern elements in Asia also speaks to the importance of preserving cultural heritage while embracing innovation. In the world of investing, the anticipation of U.S. jobs data and an interest rate decision in Australia have put pressure on Asian stocks. This reflects the broader global concern about the impact of monetary tightening on the economy and financial markets. It's a reminder that market sentiment can shift quickly based on economic data and policy decisions. Finally, the political situation in Hong Kong continues to be a source of international attention. The decision of pro-democracy activist Agnes Chow to stay in Canada after jumping bail highlights the ongoing tensions between Hong Kong and mainland China. It also raises questions about the effectiveness of the national security law and its impact on individuals' freedom and well-being. That's all for today's analysis. Now I'd like to hear from you. What are your thoughts on these news stories? Do you have any questions or comments? Let's continue the discussion together. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.